right, my friends, and welcome to another episode here on the Red Delta Project podcast, where we're teaching you how to be fit and live free by taking a fundamental approach to diet and exercise. Today, we are talking all things human flag, one of those almost mythical exercises in the world of calisthenics. We know it exists. We've seen people do it on social media, and yet seeing one in the wild is almost a rare occurrence, like seeing Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. And before we jump into today's meat of the content, I wanted to share with you this little story because this is one of the first experiences I ever had, not only with calisthenics, but with the power of the human flag itself. This is way back in the old days, back when I was in the 8th grade, and we were all on a field trip down to Washington, D.C., and me and my buddies were kind of just wandering around the city a little bit, somewhat unsupervised. They didn't know about it, but we're all trying to kind of rooster our egos a little bit by talking about what we were doing, because we were just starting to get into this whole fitness thing. One guy was trying to be like, oh, I can bench press this weight. And me, I was like, well, I can do almost 100 push-ups right now. You want to see? And we're all trying to puff up our chests and everything. And this one guy's kind of standing behind us, and he's kind of just keeping quiet, little mousy. And right when I'm about to think to myself, this guy's got nothing kind of thing. He is no game in this. He just walks over to this post and just nails a clutch flag perfectly out of the thin air. And we all just stood there and said, like, game over. All right, he wins. You know, it was he totally shut us down with just that one movement. And that was my first experience with calisthenics. Not only that, but with the power and the beauty that is the human flag and its variations. And to help us dive into this, my friend and fellow coach Danny Kavadlo is here with me. He has written the definitive guide to human flag training, everything from the most beginner steps all the way to much more advanced, almost mythical levels of strength and capability, and all of the details you need to know on how you can achieve it for yourself. So, Danny, welcome once again to the Red Delta Project podcast.
Thank you very much, Matt. As always, it's absolutely spectacular to be here, to be talking to you. It's been a while, so I'm delighted to see you. I'm delighted to talk to your amazing audience and to talk some real calisthenics type stuff right there. Something you said, that was a great story, by the way, but something you said in your introduction about the human flag, that, you see it on social media, you see it on the internet, but to see it in person, you said it's like Bigfoot. And that really is, even to this day, still true. As calisthenics has caught on and become more mainstream, there really is nothing like that visual when you see someone pop that human flag, horizontal, 2 hands grasping a vertical pole, body parallel to the ground, every muscle flexed. Obviously, to this day, I'm still fascinated and enthralled by it. I have people that train with me in person and virtually, specifically on human flag training. And this project, which is called How to Do the Human Flag, is really the first of its kind, certainly the first of its kind to this magnitude. So I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk to you. Thanks for that intro, my friend.
Of course, yes. And one of the reasons why it's one of these almost mythical types of exercises is because I believe there's so little information out there that adequately addresses how to properly prepare and train for it. Because sure, there's tons of YouTube videos that kind of scrape the surface a little bit, and they're like, okay, here's your 5-step program for the human flag. You grab the bar, you get this type of exercise, and then bang, human flag. And you're like, whoa, you just went from like 0 to 100 really quickly. I've read through your book. It goes through lots of detail. It's the only resource that I know of that has an actual full-on planned by the week training program on how to bring people to proficiency in the human flag. It's not a step-by-step guide specifically. It's literally a full program for those who want to achieve it in a methodical, scientific way versus trying to kind of bumbling around in the dark and trying to figure things out for themselves. What made you decide to make this sort of project?
Okay, well, that's a lot right there. But I'll start at the end. What made me decide to do this project? I'll be honest with you. Someone commented on one of my posts back when I used to post on social media, which if you're seeing this, I'm doing it again. Someone commented on my post that I should make this book. And it had been something that had been in the back of my head for many, many, many years. I'm assuming your listeners are really calisthenics enthusiasts. I'm sure they are. But a book that my brother, Al Cavadlo, hey, and I had done in, I think, 2016 was called Street Workout. And originally, that was just going to be called Human Flags Everywhere. And it was going to be a book about human flags, and it was originally conceived to just have photographs, because we teach the progressive calisthenics certification. We teach it all over the world. So we had photographs of human flag in Germany, human flag in China, human flag in Italy, California, New York. And that was the idea. And then, of course, we expanded that. We're like, well, if we're going to do this human flag book, let's do just an overall street workout book, and then we could put more photos, which was our style at the time. When I came to do this, I had already had that in my head since that time. Well, there really should be a human flag book. But I was thinking back then, I mean, this is almost, whatever, this is probably about 7 years ago, it would be more like a coffee table book. And when it came time to do this, by the time I really sat down to write it, which was a couple years ago when I actually started the first drafts of this. But when I finally sat down to write it, it just got more and more. I thought it was going to be like a manual. I thought it was going to be a step-by-step guide, and I had to add more, and I had to add more. And my experience having taught the PCC, which for those people listening who may or may not know, the PCC is the Progressive Calisthenics Certification, and it is a very extensive 2-day class/certification for fitness enthusiasts, calisthenics freaks, personal trainers, gym owners, that really delves deep into the esoteria of calisthenics. One of the modules is human flag, and that's one that I've led, I think, every single time. So having worked with hundreds of people all over the world from different age groups, backgrounds, fitness disciplines, really put me in a position where when it came time to assemble this book, I had to put every experience that I had, really break down. Like you said, it's a week-to-week program, and it is. The reason for that is me and Al did a book called Get Strong, and everybody asked for a week-to-week program. My first several books didn't have a week-to-week program. My brother Al too. So when we put together Get Strong, it was like, you want a week-to-week program? This is a fucking week-to-week program, man. So I wanted to anticipate and cover everything. So when I did How to Do the Human Flag, I did do the week-to-week program, but in addition to that, there's over 100 pages of specific grip techniques. What surface you're grabbing, how you're grabbing it, where's your top hand, is it parallel, is it a thin bar, is it a thick bar, grip techniques, troubleshooting. What if my bottom elbow isn't locking? What if my top shoulder is twisting out? What if my hip is turning? What if my hip is piking? Frequently asked questions that I've gotten throughout the years, like literally throughout the I've been doing this a while. I don't want to do the math. I don't want to reveal my age. Actually, I love my age. I'm turning 49 this summer. I'm 48 right now. But I've been doing this a long time. So again, now I'm going backwards with your question. What made this come together? And then you started out saying, there was little info really available, and that actually answers the second part of your question. There really was little info available. I talk about this in the book. When I started out training for Human Flag, there was not YouTube tutorials. They didn't have stall bars and vertical poles in gyms. You were lucky if there was a kettlebell in the gym. You were lucky if there was a straight pull-up bar in the gym. You know, like so. When I started
That
learning the
wasn't
human
meant to all
flag,
hell anyway.
I was managing a gym. I was the personal training manager of New York Health and Racket Club on 23rd Street in New York City. Don't look for it there. The pandemic killed it, but that's another story. But I was the fitness manager at the time, and I don't know why I started practicing this thing. You know, I was doing outdoor workouts already, but man, I was practicing it on a cable crossover, and there was nothing tutorials about this. I was like, try, bust my ass, try, bust my ass. I mean, literally, the team took bets on when I would give up doing it. And the truth is, they were right. You laughed, and you're right for laughing at me. They were right for laughing at me because you really have to delve deep, and that's the other part of your question is the programs that were put together, da 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 da. But the truth is, this is an advanced thing. You can't put together a thing that says, "Hey, learn the human flag in 2 weeks, learn the human flag in 30 days," and that's something I try to make explicitly clear in the book. Is hey, we got a minimum standard. You got to be able to do pull-ups. You got to be able to do push-ups. We have to have a baseline. And I talk about how, in the introduction, how a lot of mythology and propaganda and sales pitchy oriented stuff. Learn the flag, learn this, learn that. But the truth is, it's not for everybody. It's very specific in the world of advanced calisthenics, and it is advanced. It is an advanced exercise. You know, I've certainly put out books and programs for all fitness levels. This one can certainly be enjoyed and appreciated, and anyone who's a fan of calisthenics can learn from this book. But to be clear, and I'm not a BS kind of person. The human flag is an advanced exercise, and I want to make that clear in the book. And that's why it can't be, hey, step one, do this, step two, do that, and now poof, human flag, because that's not reality. And one thing, you know, that the only thing I care about is just putting out real things. I don't have to put this stuff out. It's like this one. I mentioned that I started it a long time ago. This is the first project I ever did that there was no rush. There was no deadline. Every other book I put out was okay. Well, you know what? I want to have this done by this time so we could release it here, release it then, have it ready for such and such. My original projected timeline to have this was like last summer. And I was like, you know what? I want to put it down for a while. I'm going to read it. I'm not in a rush with this one. So hopefully people who pick this thing up will get that much closer to human flag. Hopefully they'll learn human flag, but hopefully everyone, regardless of where they are in their human flag progressions, will move forward and understand the exercise conceptually more, even just reading through this book.
Absolutely. The manual is just so comprehensive. You can definitely tell you didn't knock this thing out in a weekend, that's for sure, because there's so much there. I can certainly see you compiling it over a long period of time, going like, okay, I think this is everything that's going to be in it. And then like a year later, you get a question from, oh, that's right, I got to address this thing that people are having trouble. Basically, I put this thing down when I was finished, and I was like, God, if this doesn't get you to a human flag, I don't know what will, because I can't imagine anything else that is necessary to be able to do it other than the actual work, which
other than the actual
all on you, of course. But as far as the technical know-how, the programming, the plan, the strategies, the ability to implement to accommodate your specific body type and your ability to accommodate your equipment circumstances, whatever you're bringing to the table, this book will cover it. This book will be able to allow you to use what you've got to get to where you want to go. And because of that, it's just that comprehensive. And yeah, we all face our unique challenges. You know, there's no such thing as a standard calisthenics practitioner, just as there's no such thing as a standard beginner. But even then, like one of the things I really appreciated about diving into the book is that you spend a good amount of time laying down a foundation without even going into human flag training of these are the basic fundamental calisthenics exercises you need to be proficient at first. So it's almost a very good book for getting started with calisthenics training in general, because you cover pull-ups and you cover some of the foundation, like the scapular pull-ups and things like that. Because yeah, the flag is based on that type of foundation. It's not just, all right, here we go with the human flag, nothing else to see here. It's literally everything you could possibly need to get the feat accomplished.
It really is. And, you know, on that note, the reason some of those, or the reason all of those exercises are in there is one question I've gotten a great deal from, again, from teaching this to hundreds of people all over the world and teaching this in person here in New York every day, is where was I going with this? Oh yeah, what is the trick to doing the human flag? Why can't I do it? What am I missing from doing it? And generally, 9 out of 10 times, the answer for the individual is, and this is a heartbreaker, you're not strong enough. And that's why that baseline of pull-ups is important. Overhead pulls, overhead presses, whether it's a handstand push-up or a military press. That's why that upper body strength is so important, because no matter how technically refined you are or muscularly aware one is, you do need that baseline in strength to do an exercise like the human flag or the pistol squat or the muscle up or the front lever or a lot of these advanced exercises. They're not just technically advanced, they're advanced in terms of strength. And that first program, Flag Foundation, which is the first of 3 programs that are in this book. This book is 237 pages. For those who are listening, it's really, really a doozy. But that first program, there are no human flag in it. The closest we come is a clutch flag, but it's basically pressing, pulling, working your core, working your arms, working your back, your chest, your shoulders. And then even the clutch flag being a shortened precursor to the full human flag. So that level of detail and honesty was important. I don't want to say, hey, buy this book and master the flag. If you can't do ABC yet, then you can't do XYZ yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a process. Just to put it out there, I did put this book on a time frame because it's a book and it's a program. But throughout it, I say, and I'll say it again now, there's always going to be time frames and we're always going to deviate from. It's a template. And anytime you're pursuing one of Danny's programs or anybody's programs, take things into account, because that's what they are. They're blanket programs and they're meant to be personalized by the individual.
I'm really happy to hear you say that, because I think a lot of people are afraid to deviate that, or they spend a little more time in one area or one aspect of it, and they think, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I've got to do it so strictly by the book. And I've always told people, like, take any sort of program that you get from a book or the internet, especially if you're not working one-on-one with a coach who's designing things specifically for you. Take it as a template. I expect you to make change, because I've got programs out there as well, and I get emails from people all the time saying, well, what if I did it this way? What if I changed this little thing? Or so, like, yeah, sure, fine. Like, yeah, almost always the answer is do it. Change it however you see fit. And right. That's what I like about your program, is that there is a timeline to it, but at the same time, it's got a lot of flexibility to it to adapt to the user and their circumstances.
Right. Because you still can't do this before you can do that.
Right.
And the timeline gives people a schedule to work on. And knowing what you're doing when you show up is how you make progress in exercise and most things. So, totally improvised, messing around workouts are fun and they're great and they will make you in better shape. But when it's more goal-oriented, having a bit more of a plan and knowing where you're at throughout the plan is a very, very helpful tool.
Absolutely. It's like the old analogy of the willow tree that bends with the winds in order to be able to weather the storm. It's like, yeah, the willow tree bends and is flexible, but at the same time, it has a very solid, well-defined root structure. So we've got that blend of structure and flexibility that because of the structure, you can bend. And because
Right,
you
got to
bend,
have something.
maintain the structure.
Yeah, you got to have something. You got to say, what the hell am I working on? Just to get away from the human flag specifically, in exercise in general, the people that don't get results are the people that show up and don't. I'm not saying you have to know exactly every rep count that you're going to do of every exercise for every workout every time you show up to train. But if you show up and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll do a little of this, a little of that. I mean, that's cool, like once every 10 workouts or so. You're just not feeling it. But you want to show up and know what you're doing, A, to be effective and efficient and not waste your time in the gym or at the park or wherever, and B, to get the most out of it. Like, that's the idea. Like, we talk about deviating from a program at times, and that's cool. You do want to deviate from the program when it makes sense for you to get a better result. Not when you're lazy, not when you're not feeling like it, when something specific about you, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, schedule-wise, prevents you from adhering to something as written, then how do I go about this and adapt this into this fucking soul in a meat package that is I? But when we show up and we just do whatever, you can't progress. You can't, you spin your wheels, and those are the people that you see them again and again at the gym. It's like, how's this happen, man? This guy's been working out 20 years. He looks the same,
Yep.
So we got to challenge ourselves. We got to push it in human flag training and in exercise in general. Now, here comes the Danny statement, and in fitness and in life. It's good to have a plan. All right.
Amen. Amen, Danny. Now, do you find that plagues a lot of people in calisthenics as well? Because you've got so much more potential for freedom and independence, and I can work out whenever I want and wherever I want because I don't need necessarily a gym, or I could go to the park anytime. And it's almost as if having a little too much of that independence or freedom takes away some of that structure. And so that's why you've got people spinning their wheels. And yeah, they're working hard, but without enough of that structure, they're just kind of running around in circles. They don't actually know where they're going with their programming.
Yeah, I want to be clear, I'm all about the playful aspect of calisthenics and having fun with your workouts. So I'm talking about specific goal-oriented implementation of exercise protocol. Because yeah, go to the park, do the monkey bars, have fun, whatever, and you'll stay able to do the monkey bars, which is awesome. But I do find that the most advanced, even in calisthenics, they're repping out, man. I'll tell you what. You see those barbarian standards? These guys are repping out. They're putting in work. They're putting in programs. They're not just doing whatever. And again, the things aren't 100% mutually exclusive either. You can go and have some fun messing around on the bars, but the real progress is going to come when you put down that measured work and it's progressing. My dear friend and colleague, CEO of Dragon Door, John Duquesne, has an expression that he used to say called, don't entrust, I got to do the voice, don't entrust your fortune to your memory. And he's right, though. Like, if you think, oh, yeah, I trained this many exercises, or I attempted this many flag progressions, or I did this many reps on my last set, you don't know what the hell you did. You look down in the book, you're like, oh, snap. I got to do another set, and that makes you work harder. When you look back and you saw you did a lot, you're going to track it and say, okay, this is what I got to do today, and that will make anyone work harder.
That's so true. I say that quote myself every once in a while too. That's one that I've always said, I can't do that. That was spot on, man. That was amazing.
Oh, it's well rehearsed.
But I mean, I log my workouts. I log every workout for every one of my clients to at least some degree, so because some people like a little more playful nature to their training. but I'm always tracking something. And I had to do it the other day where I was giving somebody an exercise at a certain amount of done a certain way. And they were like, well, it's been a while since I've done this. And I was like, what are you talking about? I gave this to you last week. And he's like, no, you didn't. It's been a good month since I did it this way. I was like, what? And I went through the log. I went back in the log and I was like, oh, damn, you're right. You're right. I haven't given this to you in a while, and it has been about a month or two since you've done it. So you're right. That probably wasn't the best way to do it, to go about it just today, because it was coming back from an injury and everything. So, that we wouldn't have known. If I had gone based purely on my memory, which is highly valuable, I would have made a bad call.
I'll tell you, man, that's one thing I've actually gone back and forth on in my training so many times. Like, if you go through my piles of crap, I don't own a lot of crap, but some stuff, you just can't throw away as much as you try to keep things well maintained. So I just have a pile of what I call diesel journals from like the time I was like 12 years old. Bench press 3 times 10, incline press 3 times 10, table crossover 3 times 10, push up 3 times 10. That's Monday. But I have all these notebooks. And then there's also been times where I've been like, you know what, forget that. I can't be, it's not about writing stuff down. It's about just going through it, working hard, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, when I track my workouts, I make better progress. I'm tracking my workouts right now. I'm holding myself to a meticulously intense strength training program right now. It's almost summer, So, and I'm tracking everything because I want to work harder week to week every single time. And that's important. It's important, especially as we age, to turn up the juice a little bit. Make sure your body knows it's alive. So the tracking, that's one thing I have gone back and forth about. And there might be people out there on YouTube land who may have heard me say, nah, man, forget the tracking. Don't worry about it. Just go with how you feel, because I have said that. But based on where I've been, I'd say in the last 2 years, I'm 100% sold on the tracking. Now, tracking, like anything, is open to some degree of interpretation from person to person, or even within the same person. I try to put as much detail as I can, because that'll probably help me in my next workout. But hey, if there's a day where I wrote down was, okay, I usually work out here in my home gym, but Monday I was over at Hype Gym on Union Square and I had a break. I said, I'm going to get my workout right now. I worked out at Hype. I did some things different. I didn't take as much detail then as I did when I work out here, but I'm still tracking it. So even within the same individual, there is variance. And it's important that we know that in track. It doesn't have to be a rule. People get very dogmatic, write every detail down. Don't do it at all. No, we just want to keep track to move forward. If you can't get every detail down, that's cool. Maybe next time you will. It's all good.
And I mean, I know we're kind of going off, as we train for flags, we'll train for life as well. But the biggest thing that I get from a workout tracking method, it's not so much about what you've done, but when you do something, or at the end of the workout, you just make a little note of, remember, you're trying to do this. Like in the flag, you could be saying, squeeze the bar harder with the hands, or pack shoulders more. Just a little tiny reminder, because again, you don't want to entrust your success to your memory. So then when you go,
it's not just 3 times 10. It's like, make sure you use glutes next time! Exclamation point. Yeah, that's a note. So then, exactly.
You look at it, you're like, oh, that's right. Because if you didn't remember that, then you would just be doing the same workout you did before.
Lock bottom elbow, fuck face. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's notes. That's right. Squeeze tighter, lock bottom elbow. Glutes with a highlighter. This stuff counts. This stuff counts. Absolutely. But all that stuff is stuff that matters with it. There's that technical element of, okay, set your arm at 45 degrees to here and point your toes to that way. But there also is a little bit more open-endedness to it. Okay, squeeze your glutes, bring your abs in, bring your lower vertebrae apart, point your toes. So that's something I tried to hit on all notes within the book, is everything you're talking about over there, getting all those nuances in and having different approaches to. And again, this is just something from just having been lucky enough to do it a lot, to have taught it a lot, to have seen firsthand what most people's issues are and how those issues have been corrected into successful flagship moving forward.
And one of the things you touched on in the book that I want to talk about now, which I think a lot of people kind of emotionally struggle with, is this idea of you're making progress, but then you feel like you kind of regress a little bit. Like towards the end of the book, you talked about how, look, I got the human flag. And then you were honest and very candid about, yeah, and it was several weeks before I got it again. And there was times when I felt like I was going backwards and then forwards and stuff. What do you say to people who are like, oh, I just can't get it, and sometimes it feels like I'm going backwards or I'm in these plateaus? They don't understand that that's part of the process. But what are your, Danny, words of wisdom to help people understand that's how this stuff works?
You really have to get to that moment of true doubt to get the most out of your exercise, to gain muscle, to get stronger, to get better at human flag. If you don't get out of your comfort zone, it's going to be impossible. And we associate, like, if somebody has a hard time and they're failing again, we have this weird, bizarre world that we're in, which have mixed feelings about rejoining. Just again, so okay, look at me, I'm on Instagram with my car and my hot chick, and look at me, I'm a mentor or whatever. People living fake lives on this stuff, but and everyone wants to project themselves as something they're not, and everybody has moments of doubt. And when you experience doubt, it's important to question it. It's important to say, what am I doubting? And it's not like, believe in yourself and you'll do it. It's like, fuck, I'm not training hard enough. Like I said, those other trainers are right for laughing at me. I got to do more pull-ups. I'm fat. It's taking a little ownership. And maybe it's not the time to do it. We have this whole thing. This failure, this person, this. And it's like, failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a good thing. I tell my son this. I'm like, when something doesn't go right he's on a good roll right now. But anyway, when something doesn't go right for him, it's like, I've made more mistakes than anybody you've ever met in your life. I failed more than anybody. And through failure, you get better at things. So perhaps I wouldn't be this emotional or melodramatic if I was talking to someone about the human flag, but I'm doing a podcast. I'm not talking to a client who I'd make it more about them. I'd ask them what they have accomplished in their life that maybe they've doubted or what they haven't. But you asked me. So you really have to get to that dark place. And you might not come out of it. Or you might not come out of it for 10 years. But I don't want to bullshit. I don't want to be like, oh, nothing great happens without suffering. That's not true. A lot of great things happen without suffering. And suffering doesn't always lead to good things either. You're not a hero because you suffered. But I'm getting a little bit off subject. I would encourage the individual to take that finger and point it inward and say, what am I not being honest with myself about with this thing? Shit, I can't do 10 solid dead hang pull-ups, can I? Well, maybe I'm just not strong enough to do it. Or, okay, you know what? I did get fucking fat. Maybe I'm just too heavy to do this exercise at this time. I mean, hopefully they wouldn't be that hard on themselves. Body image is real, and that's the way I talk to myself. But, I'm 100, as I've discussed. So that's kind of where I would go with it. And then I would have them do something that they're great at. Because the truth is, it's just a human flag. Us calisthenics freaks, we love the human flag, but it's just a human flag. And you could get in great shape without ever doing the human flag. This book is for human flag enthusiasts. It's not a general fitness plan. It's 237 pages of human flag and nothing else.
Wonderful, Danny. Wonderful. So everybody, links down below to access Danny's book, because it is live now, correct? It is available?
When this airs, it will be live.
Yes, very good. So yeah, links down below, as well as every other way that you can reach out to Danny. Ask him your questions on the human flag. He is one of the best coaches, one of the best mentors I've ever had the pleasure of working with over the years, be it calisthenics, flag training, pistol squats, life. He's just the man to go to. Definitely make good use of the links down below. Danny, for those who are about to just go off and live their lives and become strong badasses, what's your number one words of wisdom and takeaway that you can impart upon the world?
One bit of wisdom and takeaway that I would give to anybody who's just seeking strength and seeking life and seeking to get better is surround yourselves with good influences. Put good food in your body. Get some sunshine. Don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the haters. Surround yourself with people who you want to see the best in them, and these are people who want you to bring out the best in you. We're in a world right now where negativity and bullshit is the highest rewarded thing, but you could just turn that noise right off. So if we're seeking strength, then let's seek strength. If we're seeking some sunshine, let's seek some sunshine. And everybody, no matter where they are, can find a way to help themselves and help others and keep the dream alive.
Wonderful, Danny. Thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Really, really proud of your new book. This is fantastic. Highly recommended, everybody, to those listening down below. Check out the links down below, and we will see you hopefully knocking out those flags in the park near you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Talk to you folks later. Till then, be fit and live free.